It's the Fulhamish podcast, your independent voice of Fulham FC. My name is George Cooper and welcome to the show. I hope everybody listening had wonderful Christmases. Fulham certainly did. 3 wins on the bounce. And after 2025 started with a rather dismal 3-2 defeat at the London Stadium back in January, Fulham ended the year at the same venue. Only this time, the Fulham faithful left with smiles on their faces. With 5 minutes to go, a mistimed clearance, a Harry Wilson dink and a Raúl Jiménez header meant that Marco's men returned to South West 6 with 3 points. Now, a lot has happened in between these Claret and Blue bookends. 3 league wins on the bounce, rocket into the top half of the table. Use of the word rocket might be slight hyperbole there, but we're in the top half and puts us within touching distance of those coveted European places. My God, what a difference 3 games can make. I am joined today by Mr. Piers Cottee-Jones. How are you doing, mate? Merry Christmas. Are you doing well?
Happy holidays, everyone. Happy everything. Happy Fulham. Happy 3 wins. What a lovely time to be a Fulham fan at the festive period.
We're also joined fresh from the press box by Mr. Jack Kelly. How are you doing, sir?
Yeah, very well. Very, very well, actually. Incredibly well. Doing very well.
Nice. And Sammy James is with us, the plucky young upstart. He's used to being this side of the microphone, but it's great to have you on the panel today. How are you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm good. I'll add to Jack. I'm very, very, very well. Very, very well.
I like to hear it. So, Fulham have won 3 league matches in a row for the first time since January 2023. Now, Sammy, I know it's normally you on this side of the horn, but I mean, do we this surely we fit the criteria? Can I sound the horn?
Yeah, and that isn't the only reason I'm on the podcast, by the way, is to supervise the sounding of the horn. It is a coincidence, but I mean, it is the criteria. It was 3 league wins in a row and top 10. So I think it's valid. I mean, you could argue that Newcastle makes it not 3 wins in a row if you're counting all competitions. I don't know. I'm on the fence of whether this is horn criteria because it's not exactly vintage 3 wins in a row, but rules are rules. You decide.
I mean, it's the holiday season. I feel like if we can't take the sounding of the horn during this time of year, when are we ever going to allow ourselves a bit of joy throughout the season? So, with your blessing, Sammy, it's the first time I've actually sounded the horn. So wow. I might get the buttons wrong. Here we go. Oh, wrong button. I think I did it all right. There we go. Anyway, Piers, would you like to hit us off with some 3-word reviews?
Well, I was debating putting the sound the horn into the 3-word reviews, but I think we've covered that off quite nicely now that Sammy has come on to invigilate that little section.
How many sounding of the horn requests did we get out of interest? Were there quite a few?
There were a few across platforms as well. So obviously we're very versatile, us Fulhamish social media team. So it was a great set of cross-platform sound the horns. There were a lot of likes on them as well. They were very popular. A lot of people having a very horny holiday period. So what a delight for everyone.
Too right.
So 3-word reviews. We've got some great ones for today. We'll start with Let's Get Hammered from Neil Laws. We've got some festive ones as well, which I think is very appropriate. A Merry Jiménez by Jay Proctor. Nice. We've got The Jingle Bell Heist from Aiden Connect. Raúl Lang Syne from Christopher Fonosback. Now, I was new to UK New Year's, despite sounding like this, so I only knew what Old Lang Syne was in my mid-20s, and I was so confused when suddenly everyone around me started singing it. So if anyone else is confused by that pun there of Raúl Lang Syne as Old Lang Syne, British people sing it when it hits midnight on New Year's. It's very strange and confusing. And then there's my Aussie roots coming out. Then we've got Get Marco Signed by Andrew 6MS. It's never too early to hear that. And we've had a lot of chatter about Marco, so just going to let that one float in here a little bit as well. And I'm sure he'll be listening and ready to sign as well.
Nice. Thank you, Piers. Excellent work. Yeah, we'll come on to the Marco situation. Hopefully JK will be able to shine some light on that. Now, Sammy, you were at the game. Now, let's be honest, West Ham away doesn't always win the matchday experience of the year award. But as I watched Raúl's header on the 85th minute, I must admit, I was very, very jealous I wasn't there. How were the celebrations when that goal went in?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely the highlight of the day. I think is safe to say. There wasn't a lot to shout about. I was actually 25 minutes late to this game. So the stadium experience maybe wasn't the best for me. Got stuck on a train outside Clapham Junction for 45 minutes. It just was like, yeah, we can't get a platform. And at first it was like, oh, I might just be a bit tight for kickoff. Then it was like, nope, kickoff's not happening. Then it was like, wow, I might actually struggle to make the first half of this game the longer it went on. So I did get in after 26 minutes. I watched back Match of the Day. I missed precisely nothing except maybe Harry Wilson's decent shot against Areola. So yeah, I mean, what a strange ground it is. Like I will always say that it's not actually that bad getting to it. And if you go to Hackney Wick, there are plenty of places to go beforehand. Like if you go to Hackney Wick, it's fine. But I was in the top tier this time. I would have preferred to be in the lower tier, but I didn't get my tickets in time. It's just the weirdest place to watch football in the world. And I think my first hot take on the whole game is that I genuinely think if we'd have played that game at Upton Park 0-0 like that, two teams that weren't playing amazingly, I think West Ham might have won it. I think home atmosphere might have gotten the 3 points. They don't have home advantage, West Ham. They literally, it's a complete neutral place to play football where just nothing happens. The players must not even realise there's a crowd there. It is just the weirdest place. But yeah, lovely when Raúl scored. I thought it was heading for 0-0, and then to clinch 3 points like that was pretty fun. It had been a weird day until that point, but yeah, the last 5 minutes were decent.
Yeah, I mean, we were we were well and truly in control of that game for I would say 15 minutes before Raúl got the goal. And I mean, let's just talk about Raúl Piers. I mean, he just keeps exceeding expectations. His goals have now earned Fulham 6 points in the last 2 games. In his brilliant post-match review, which is available on the Fulhamish Substack, Owen asked where we would be if Raúl was fully fit. And it kind of got me thinking, where has he found this form from? And despite his age and despite the grueling kind of fixture list, and I wondered whether motivation for, obviously he's got a home World Cup coming in 2026. He's going to want to hit form for that. Do you think this potentially could have helped him find this purple patch?
Yeah, it's a weird one with Jiménez because he looks so knackered and geriatric, and yet he's being able to play the 90 at the minute, and he's getting the goals in that last 20 minutes, which normally that's where Muniz comes on and gobbles them up like he did at Brighton away. So it's been really interesting for Jiménez to actually get that game time in those full 90s. I don't think we've really seen a period in his Fulham career where he's played 90 minutes consistently. So it's been really wonderful to see that. He's definitely got that World Cup pressure on. We know how much Mexico means to him and playing those games. So it's really great to see. And I mean, he just looks so knackered the whole way through. And I'm just glad Harry Wilson's got such an accurate cross, because if that's anywhere else, I don't think he's got the ability to move his legs far enough after so many games in a row. But it's testament to how great he is as an athlete, as a performer, that he's able to go a game after game after game and just keep running on absolute fumes. He looks like he's done sort of 4 all-nighters in a row and is being faced with one more beer in the pub and is just going, you know what, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. He's absolutely smashing it. So it's great for him, but it's also a bit concerning that Kusiasare is nowhere near getting any meaningful minutes at the moment. But it's something that we'll hopefully address in January.
Yeah, for sure. It's just, I remember when Raúl signed and how long it took him to, find form, find his feet at the club. And now he's a bona fide sort of fan favourite. I think everyone across the Fulham fan base holds him in such high regard, not just for his work rate, but also just his attitudes, professionalism, as you touched upon there, Piers. I think obviously another thing to look forward to is obviously Muniz returning, how much of a boost that's going to give our team now, especially with Raúl sort of seemingly kind of on his last legs, although I've watched him score at Selhurst Park now. Jack, let's talk about the goal. 85 minutes on the clock. Fulham had been all over West Ham. As I said, we had about 85% possession in the 10 minutes before the goal. Now, West Ham's Oliver Scarles didn't cover himself in glory. It was a terrible defensive error. But Wilson does incredibly well reacting to this. First time cross. Powerful header from Raúl, as we said. But I just want to talk about that cross from Wilson because it is sublime. Now, I've watched the replay, and obviously he gets a lot of luck with the fluffed clearance, but the trajectory on that ball has to be absolutely perfect in order for Raúl to get it. And it lands directly on his head. He doesn't need to move barely. So can I just have your take on Wilson and that cross in this game?
It was amazing. It was amazing. I mean, I tweeted after the game, he had no time at all to think about what he had to do, and yet he produces a cross where, you go back 2.5 weeks, we were playing Burnley, and it's a very similar situation, the way the ball falls to him in terms of the trajectory. He gets on the ball for the cross, and he just lays it on a plate for Bassey, who nods it in at Turf Moor, and does the exact same for Jiménez. This is more impressive because he's got less time to react. He doesn't expect the ball to fall to him because Scarles misses it. And Raúl's just sort of fox in the box, heads it in. The roar from the Fulham fans, very, very, very loud. And it was a huge, huge, huge 3 points for us in terms of where we can go in the for the rest of the season. And I mean, Harry Wilson, it's unbelievable what he's producing at the moment. I mean, ever since that hat-trick against Macedonia, I want to say, for Wales, he's been on this electric run of form, goals, assists, and just overall brilliant performances. And the contract situation is obviously looming, and it's obviously an interesting one. But right now, if we just focus on the pitch matters, he is, he's been the difference maker for Fulham for the last few weeks. The goal at Spurs, the assist at the goal at Burnley, assist at Burnley, and then obviously the assist, the other day as well. Just tremendous work from a player who, last season he was frustrated at lack of playing time. He comes off the bench and scores all these incredible goals, or against Brentford, against Palace in that short space of time, and gets more minutes, scores the winner at Brentford, back end of last season. And this has been his season, hasn't it? It does feel like we're seeing peak Harry Wilson, the peak of his form, peak of his career, and we're just lucky to have him at Fulham at the moment. I would, it's very important to sign him down to a new contract because of the numbers he produces and the talent he's got and what he does and produces for our team. We'll see what happens with that, but for now, let's just enjoy it for what it is at the moment. And that cross is it's perfect. Perfect for Raúl Jiménez, who nods it in. And, just to credit Jiménez, when you run your socks off all game, and had a chance just before we scored as well with the front post flick. That's what experienced strikers do. They stay in the game and they take their chance when it comes to them. And that's why he remains on the pitch despite fatigue, despite playing so many minutes. And I think that, he's the one who's picked us up 6 points in the last 2 games. Without him, we wouldn't be where we are at the moment. So in terms of penalty taking, reliable. In terms of fox in the box and taking chances when the ball falls to him, obviously we saw on the other day, reliable from that situation. Perfect goal, absolutely perfect goal at the perfect time, which won us the game. Brilliant.
Yeah, and just on that, Jack, I don't suppose you've heard any whisperings behind the scenes in regards to Harry Wilson in his contract.
Well, I mean, I spoke with Harry in the summer, and he said they were still talking. I asked Marco maybe 2 press conferences ago, and they're still talking. So there were some interesting quotes that came out from Harry Wilson when he did an interview with Sky, exclusively saying that the next move, the next contract's got to be right for him and his family. So he very glowingly talks about Fulham, calling it his home, etc., etc. But does he want a new challenge? Where do you think he could play? Can he drop into a top 6 side? I don't necessarily think that he'll get enough minutes to make that a successful move. I think that Fulham is probably the best place for him to be. There's obviously the team who came in for him in the summer, which is Leeds. They're in a precarious position in the Premier League. They're not guaranteed to stay up. So, he will obviously be wanting to play Premier League football. I think Fulham are basically guaranteed to be playing Premier League football next season. That it seems like if Marco Silva stays, which I'm very, very confident happens, then I think Harry Wilson should follow suit. And I think it feels as if this is a really big moment for Fulham in terms of where we're at the moment, where if we get Silva committing and then you add Wilson to that, I think we're going to go places. And I think that there's going to be some changes at the club which are going to affect us very positively long term.
I mean, Harry Wilson, 28 years old, at the peak of his career. My girlfriend always joked that he looked like a sixth former, and then saw him score against West Ham, and she went, "Oh wow, he looks like he's now graduated to a uni student." But he's playing form. He's in the form of his life. And Sammy, just on Harry Wilson, I can't remember whether it was at the start of this season or the start of last season. You said this is Harry Wilson's season. Now we'll take it for this one, but I mean, my God, like he's in the form of his life. So much so that And I feel like this is always, sadly, the barometer with Fulham's players, that other fan bases are starting to notice and talk about them. And, your mates who support other teams are popping up in the group chat saying, oh, Harry Wilson, he looks a bit techie. I mean, what do you put this form down to? Do you think it's just purely the case of more minutes, or, is there something else, perhaps, his loving life at Fulham? Like, why do you think he's playing so well at the moment?
Yeah, I'm glad you came to me on this one, because I almost wanted to butt in and add to this point, but you've actually asked me exactly what I was thinking. The beautiful thing about Harrison Wilson, I guess probably is called Harrison Wilson, Harry Wilson, is that he's in that kind of perfect bit of a Venn diagram where actually he isn't young enough that he's really going to be on the register of bigger clubs. Like, if he was doing this at 22, 23, you'd have all sorts scouting around him, probably trying to buy him. At 28, he's probably putting off several big teams. But he's young enough that he's still got plenty of years in the tank. And actually, is there a club where he's really going to elevate his level past Fulham? The other thing that's great is you look at all of these goals and assists that he's got in the last few weeks. None of them are because of pace. They're all because of intelligence. And so Harry actually, even if, look, he's 28, maybe as he gets into his early 30s, some of the pace begins to dip, naturally does, etc. I don't think that massively matters, because you look at all of the stuff he's doing, it's not necessarily blinding pace that he's beating players. It's just game intelligence. And to answer your question of why it's all of a sudden clicking, I think it's just experience. He's now an experienced player, whereas before when we signed him, he was kind of he was a young talent, and so that he's learnt the game, and what he's doing is just a bit of experience, bit of know-how, bit of understanding of how much time he's going to have in the box, and I think what was demonstrated with the moment where he puts that cross in, he knows that because Scarles messed up the clearance, West Ham wouldn't have been set. So the main thing to do at that moment is to get the ball into the box as quick as possible before Todibo and all of the others and Kilman realise what's gone wrong. He's quickest to react to the mistake. And that's why we get the goal. And, against Burnley, the corner was obviously brilliant, but as Jack mentioned, the cross for Bassey was also fantastic. He knew, right, take a touch here, loop it into the box, but slightly away from the goalkeeper. That's how you're going to create the most chaos. He's just learning the game. And I think that happens. And yes, youth is always a great thing, but sometimes a little bit of wisdom and experience. And the fact that he's now picking that up at 28 means that he's got 3-4 years now, I think, of playing at the top level and being a real danger at this level. He's just got to stay fit. That's always been Harry Wilson's problem. But I don't envisage, yes, he might be getting attention from elsewhere, but there's not really another club for him to go to where he would be a guaranteed starter. So I think we are in a really nice position with Harry, where actually I think we can count on him staying at Fulham for as long as he wants to be here, really. It's a really exciting development. And yes, I will say it was this season that I said it was Harry Wilson's year. So it was that goal. Do you know what? It was his performance at Brentford away last year that made me think he's coming into this season in form. That was what made me excited, was that goal and performance at Brentford away last year made me think that this might be Harry Wilson's season.
Yeah, I mean, he's doing it for club and country, and long may it continue. It's been a revelation, and Mystic Sammy strikes again with that one. Let's hope that we've got some good news in regards to his contract. Piers, just going back to this game, Fulham were unchanged going into this one, somewhat unsurprisingly. Cuenca with another very strong showing, it has to be said. We can talk about the goals and everything else, but another clean sheet for Fulham and another very, very strong defensive performance, which I think we need to talk about. Some big saves from Bernd Leno as well, denied Bowen and Wilson brilliantly. How important do you feel the form of these two has been in our kind of stability and putting together this run of wins?
I don't think it comes as a surprise to anyone at how good Cuenca's been since Bassey's gone to AFCON and he's had an actual run of games in the side. Every time he's come in, and don't forget, the games he's come in for before have been huge games. I think Anfield away, he made his debut. Might have been Arsenal away as well. He's come on to maybe a City at home as well. He's always come in, not sort of in a, let's sort of ease him into the Premier League. It's been like, right, cool, throw him in the deep end, get kicking, turn that milk into butter and walk out, or whatever it is. So he's been really sensational every time he's played, and it's great to see him getting a real run of games. And you see the amount of times we sprung the offside trap successfully. There was one really good one off Bowen in the first half. where Cuenca just at the last minute steps up, Bowen's offside. Leno actually makes an amazing save off it. But it doesn't need to do it because Cuenca's already done, Nansen have done that work. So it's really promising to see how well those two are doing as a team. There's no coincidence that Robinson's come into the starting lineup and we've won 3 out of 4. But Leno as well. I think the last time I was on the pod, I was asked if Leno was in danger of losing his place and should we be looking at other options. And I'm glad he was clearly listening to the pod, as he no doubt always does, because he's backed up the unanimous support of everyone on there with a few really great performances and showing the Leno that we know he is. So it's really wonderful to see classic super burnt Leno in goal, Cuenca ripping it up at the back. It's a really lovely time, and just seeing how important it was to keep Tete in the summer as well. That back four is really solid, plus Leno at the back of that. And we're building scrappy wins off really comprehensive defensive performances. There's something to be said about West Ham's finishing, particularly in the second half. But at the same time, if we're putting them under pressure and not giving them really clear chances, then they're having to work a lot harder for those. So it's really great to see. Long may it continue.
Yeah, no, I second that. Also, the return of Anthony Robinson as well has been instrumental. I would argue it's what a welcome return that was. J.K. Piers touched upon our high defensive line. So we caught West Ham offside 7 times, which is very, very high. Obviously, they got the likes of Bowen and Somerville who looked to kind of get in behind. They started the game without a striker, which I guess they would kind of point to. But I think Marco has got his defensive tactics spot on for this game. Defensively, with the high line and everything else. But I just think all round, I think there's been some criticism of his substitutions and perhaps game management over the past few weeks, but I feel like yesterday was a perfectly executed game. Keep it tight, keep it cagey, and then go forward throughout the last third of the match, and we got the win.
Yeah, it's been a really strange season in the fact that a lot of Fulham fans have sort of flip-flopped on their opinion of certain players and of the manager throughout the season, and it's understandable. Results. There was a period in the season we lost 4 games in a row. 4 games in a row when you lose in the Premier League, everyone's going to come under question because the pressure's on. And you look back at the previous away games we played this season within that period where we conceded really sloppy goals against Newcastle in the league, Bournemouth, Aston Villa, really, really poor goals. And we hadn't won an away game since we until Spurs, and then we go and win 3 away games on the trot from there, and going away to Palace with the ambition to win 4 in a row. And I think it's really, really interesting because you lose Bassey, and I have no worries about Cuenca coming in. Like Piers said, he came in and against it was actually against Arsenal at home and was really good. And Cuenca's stats, 95% pass accuracy. The other day against West Ham, 10 passes into the final third. So he's a progressive passer, progresses the ball. You add Anderson's long-range passing out wide to that as well, and Fulham get into good areas from those defensive passes, and suddenly attacks start from there. And then obviously Robinson coming back into the team, athlete up and down the pitch. Great defender as well as going forward. And then, I mean, Kenny Tete in terms of one-on-one defending is as good as I've seen at Fulham ever. At fullback, it's just fantastic. You add Ryan Sessegnon to that, who's had such a strong season before he got injured. It's amazing because a couple of months ago I was just thinking we are leaking really silly goals. We are dropping points from strong positions, and our away form looks like it's going nowhere. Fast forward 2 months, and we're in the best away form since, ironically, last season, where we actually did win 3 wins. We won 3 away games in a row. And in terms of your point of catching West Ham offside, 2 of those really big chances, Jared Bowen going through, really good save by Leno, and then Kenny Tete coming across to block Bowen's shot as well, was offside. And just great defensive work from the back 4, and then obviously Sander Berge sitting in front as well, who had a really strong game. Everything's ticking right now. Everything's clicking right now. And there were so many questions about, Iwobi's going to AFCON, Lukic and Berge, we're not happy with that midfield partnership. Lukic and Berge last season worked brilliantly, right? And I think it's just recency bias, outcome bias from previous away games, or even home games where we weren't creating much or we were dropping points, etc., etc. Lukic says that Everton performance was really poor. And I think that plays into a lot of people's mind. But since Iwobi's gone, and there were some worries about Lukic and Berger. I think they've been good. I mean, Lukic scored against Newcastle, and the performances have been strong. And Marco is getting the best again. I mean, how many times we've said it over his tenure? He's getting the best out of this squad, which is now restricted down because we've lost 5 key players, and we're winning games by goal margins, by small margins, by fine margins, and it's fantastic. That is so satisfying. And now you look at us, we're in the top half of the table. 2 months ago, we were thinking we're in a relegation battle. Not anymore. We are looking up, and I think people need to start renewing their passports because it could be on.
Ooh.
Well, it has to. I mean, you're in the conversation. We're only 3 points off 5th.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, Jack. I think, just to touch upon your point, I think that personally, from my point of view, this win in particular put to bed any. I don't want to speak too soon, but I feel like there's enough distance between us and the bottom 3 now that I think that we should start looking up as opposed to looking behind. But you said something just there, we're winning by fine margins. And Sammy, like, we rode our luck a little bit in this game. Bowen missed chances. We had large spells where we weren't, an attractive side to watch by any stretch. But I mean, this win, I guess, just demonstrates the importance of being able to get over the lines in games like these. Like, how encouraging is it, and how important is it potentially when we're looking about, potentially trying to creep up the table and challenge those Euro spots? The ability to be able to win ugly, which I don't think I've seen much from Fulham in modern memory. Basically, we're either swashbuckling, flamboyant, have amazing big showcase wins, or we lose because we throw it away. Very rarely are we seen as a team that can like grind these like ugly 1-0 results, which is ultimately what you need if you want to be successful.
Yeah, I think we need to temper some of the excitement of winning 3 in a row by the fact that like these haven't been vintage wins. Like Burnley, they definitely should have scored more than 2, and I think had the higher expected goals figure for whatever that matters. Forest were woeful in attack, and West Ham were pretty poor. But that being said, these two wins, Raúl Jiménez gets the headlines because he scores the winning goals, but the defence won us these 2 games. That's the thing. We took our one chance that we got, and well done Raúl and well done Harry Wilson, but the defence won these 2 matches. Cuenca's place in the team is really exciting right now. West Ham's only real chance that they the only time I actually thought, oh God, because of obviously there was the moments that ended up being offside. So yes, I was worried about those moments, but they were offside, and even the linesman flagged them offside. It wasn't VAR, it was linesman flag. So let's discount those. And actually, I thought it was hilarious that Match of the Day only managed to get 5 minutes of highlights and had to use 2 offside chances in order to pad out the 5 minutes. I think it says a lot for how many chances there were in the game. The only one I was worried about was the one that flashed in front of Bowen and he just mistimed it. That actually comes because of a bad linesman's call, because Kevin won the throw-in. It was Fulham's throw-in, and Kevin was out of position because he was ready to take the throw-in or try and get the ball to give it to Robinson, and the linesman gave it the wrong way. And so that's the only reason that chance, it was West Ham's only real chance of the game, in my opinion, comes about. There's also, maybe you could argue that, I think it's Masaka, who maybe should have done a little bit better from a free kick, fell to him and he didn't sort his feet out enough in time. But the real chance, that was the one that I was like, and it comes around from a dodgy decision, which to me just is a test to the defence, which seems really solid right now. But I think when it comes to Cuenca, does he keep his place in the team? I guess for me, Palace feels like a perfect litmus test, right? I think you could argue Forest and West Ham were poor attacking wise, as well as us being good defensively. Palace aren't in a great moment right now, but they are much more of a threat, a mid-table team. And actually, if we go and keep a 3rd clean sheet in a row, I think you've got to start saying, actually, this isn't just a bit of a fluke, this is a trend of Fulham being much better defensively since Cuenca's come back in. So I think Palace, look, if Mateta goes and scores a hat-trick on New Year's Day, then I think we'll know that, okay, maybe it was just, a little bit of a fluke. But actually, this to me feels like a perfect opportunity to really test this defence's ability, because as Piers alluded to, right now that back 5 seems really solid. And if the AFCON ended tomorrow, which it doesn't look like doing, by the way, for Nigeria, because they've won their first 2 group games.
They're already through.
Yeah. So I think Cuenca might be laying a claim. He's certainly down the road to laying a claim to be the first choice centre-back, which obviously is shit for Bassey, but like great for Jorge and potentially deserved given how patient he's been.
We had a question from a listener on this, but I mean, given we're speaking about it now, we may as well come on to it. So Nathan asks, how did Cuenca and Bassey split time after AFCON? And I mean, Piers, to add to what Sammy said, I think Jorge is making a very, very, very strong claim. I mean, where do you sit on this debate? Because it gives Marco a bit of a selection headache when the Super Eagles do come back.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that Marco's been really consistent in is if it's your shirt to lose. And that's been for new signings when they've come in with big names. I remember when Leno first came, he didn't get the number 1 jersey straight away. He had to wait a few games and prove it in training and the rest of it before he actually started starting matches. And we've seen that consistency in a lot of cases across Marco's time with us. So I think when Bassey comes back, he'll probably need some rest because I think he's played every minute of their qualifying and cup campaign as well so far. So he'll need a bit of time. But at the minute, it's Cuenca's shirt now, and it's sad for Bassey because he's doing something that is very important to go and win a tournament for his country. But Cuenca's come in, he's been sensational. It's a bit harsh on Bassey because the form of Fulham is not just because Cuenca's come in for Bassey, but as we said before, because Robinson's also now starting game after game. So it's not quite as simple as just a Bassey out, Cuenca in. I wonder if we'll start seeing some back fives a bit more to fit all three of those two and Anderson into a team. It's an exciting moment though, and Mark has always spoken about how he wants competition and people really driving performances. And having this huge competition at left centre backs only going to make both of them better players. So it's a great sign for us for sure.
It's really interesting because Cuenca came in for the game against Arsenal and had a really strong game, in my opinion. I think most of the Fulham fans felt the same. Then we go to Newcastle the next week. You look at the team sheet and you go, oh, Bassey's back in. That's a bit interesting because I think Cuenca had a strong game and I think Cuenca probably deserved to start. Then Bassey was at fault for those 2 goals that we conceded at Newcastle. Everyone's up in arms. Why didn't Cuenca start? Silva's got that wrong, blah, 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 blah. Right? So I think that definitely when Bassey comes back, whenever it is, I think Marco might just be like, I might actually just sort of learn my lesson from last time and keep Jorge in there. Because Piers is right. Like, usually a player comes in and if they play well, they keep their place in the team. So it was unusual to see Bassey come in for the Newcastle game. Cuenca's been fantastic. I mean, absolutely fantastic. What will be really interesting now is that when we've got these 2 home games back to back against Liverpool and then not down the road, how are we gonna fare against those sides? You know, we lost by a goal margin to Arsenal and a goal margin to Man City in a crazy game. Liverpool we beat last season at home. Chelsea we lost in the last minute. So if we can get through those games with strong defensive performances and obviously attacking thrust and potential going forward, and we can stand up to those tests at home. You know, Liverpool have been very shaky. Chelsea are not perfect. I think there are games where we can get at them. That's going to be very interesting to see where the season's going to go. Are we actually genuinely going to be contenders for Europe, or are we going to sort of pedal in mid-table? And I think that Jorge Cuenca at the heart of that defence is going to be up against it. But I think that's going to be a good test for him.
Tactically as well, having Cuenca in over Bassey, we've seen a lot of the times where teams will really press Anderson, make us play the ball all through Bassey. And as you said before, Coops, Cuenca's progressive passing is so good that suddenly we've got 2 outlets who are both really good ball-playing defenders. And it is a bit harsh on Bassey, who is quite good at passing as well, but not at the same level as Cuenca and Anderson. So it really adjusts how teams can play against us and what they can do in their pressing. So it's another advantage to us attacking-wise, not just defensively, of having Cuenca and Anderson next to each other.
Yeah, I mean, great problem to have, right? And just a quick word on our Super Eagles, because they are getting a lot of love from their antics in the African Cup of Nations. Obviously, Nigeria beat Tanzania and Tunisia, respectively. And yeah, it's just the banter trio of Bassey, Iwobi, and Chukwueze. Did you guys see the clip where Bassey was asked to give a message to the fans, and he says, "Oh yeah, well, no, we'll go out and do it again." And then Chukwueze just lays into him saying, "What do you mean do it again? We didn't do it the first time."
Can you just down the camera say something to Nigerian fans? Let's do it again.
Oh, yeah. What we got to say? Let's do it again. Let's do it again. We did not do it last time. That's why I said, let's do it again. We reached finals and we lost. He said, let's do it again. Did you win it the last time? He said, let's do it again. Let's do it one again.
I haven't seen that one, but I did see the one where Chukwueze accuses Alex Iwobi of paying off the Fulham social media team because Fulham did a graphic on the same day as the West Ham game saying that, and also it's match day for the Nigeria boys. They're playing Tunisia. And it's, it's that kind of classic Nigeria green-white background. And it's just Alex Iwobi. And so Sammy Chukwueze thinks that Alex Iwobi's paid off the Fulham social media team so that he can be the only person in the image. And obviously Alex is like, Are you mad? Obviously, I haven't done that. And Chukwueze's like, no, I'm not having it. I'm not having it. It's a conspiracy.
Look this. So it's only you that's playing today. It's only you that's playing for Nigeria in that Fulham team. So they only post you now. So it's not good for us to be in the...
Bro,
wow.
Your interview where you said Nigeria should be behind us, was I not there? They didn't put me in that video.
No problem. Alex, no problem.
Yeah, they I mean, obviously Fulham have started a bit of a podcast with those three, but honestly, like, those three are jokes.
Yeah, it's the perfect comedy trifecta as well, because like Bassey is the kind of like lovable Joker type figure, and then Chukwueze's kind of like he's the one who's like the voice of reason, ripping into them for whatever reason, but like in a very, very funny way as well. And you can sense the love. And then Iwobi's kind of like somewhere in the middle, sort of like I don't know. But
I think Iwobi's the host, right? Iwobi's the host, and then like Chukwueze's kind of like the grumpy old man, alongside them. He's just like, I'm not gonna do his accent, but he's just like, what's going on here? You're paying them off. Like, he's like, what?
Yeah. Oh, mate, I absolutely love it. So best of luck to our Super Eagles out in AFCON. I mean, like, the whole of Fulham are behind you. Need we say more? We've got lots of questions to come on to. So I won't, I won't dilly-dally too much. But Sammy, at the start of the podcast, you said that playing West Ham away is effectively like, it's like playing in a neutral ground. It's like an FA Cup semi-final of old, effectively. But I just wanted to get a bit of discussion going as to like exactly how bad is West Ham away. And I was thinking about this, and I just thought, I know I said I was jealous that I wasn't there, but then I actually like sat with it for a minute, and I thought, actually, no, it is pretty dire. So obviously Stratford, end of the Jubilee line, you have your ears absolutely blown out by the noise of the train before you've even arrived. Thankfully, your ears are then given a rest over the subsequent 90 minutes, because I've genuinely been to funerals with more atmosphere than the London Stadium. After spending roughly £36.70 on a pizza and a pint at Crate, you then walk up to the ground, which kind of looks like somebody has ordered a Wembley-style mega stadium on Wish. Like, it's like somebody has tried to build an arena on the cheapest budget possible. If Tottenham Stadium is no expense spared, then London Stadium is no expense offered. You then inexplicably have to go through about 3 to 4 rounds of security checks, orchestrated by teenagers who clearly have no idea what they're doing. Here's a novel idea, guys. Instead of doing 3 checks before you get into the ground, just do one. Just do one adequately. Then it spares the need to having to do 4 subsequent ones. Then you have this sort of like Banksy Dismaland hellscape of the surrounding areas of the ground. It's like, you've got the Doritos food stalls, popcorn vendors. It sort of looks like if Winter Wonderland did a collab with Poundland. Then you have to queue half an hour to get into the ground, another security check before you go in, and then you have to the long walk to find your seats, which are in a different dimension seemingly to the rest of London. You are so far away from the ground that time seems to move at a slower pace. It's like you're watching the game in slow motion. It is crazy. It's so hard to pick out who is who. You're this far away, and time seems to move slower. As I said, sound moves in mysterious ways. There are ghosts of chants that happened in 2023. They're somehow still echoing around the terraces. And then on top of all of this, you have to watch West Ham play football. Now, to think that they gave all of this up, they had the beautiful Berlin ground. I genuinely believe the West Ham fans deserve so much better. Now, if West Ham do go down, I will personally be delighted. It would mean we can ditch this away game. It won't even be in consideration. Honestly, give me the cold, smoggy turnstiles of Middlesbrough's Riverside. Give me that after a 6-hour National Railway delay disaster class and an impromptu stay in a travel lodge due to misconnections. I genuinely cannot stand West Ham away, but that's just how I feel. Anyone want to add anything?
Well, I'll tell you something. I've covered West Ham quite a lot in my very short journalism career so far, and I was there when the Queen died. We found out the Queen died.
Did that have better atmosphere than?
Well, to my point, the atmosphere.
The whole point of the atmosphere
The other day was worse than when the Queen passed, because it was a somber atmosphere that day. You know what West Ham fans are like? They're very patriotic. You could sense it around the London Stadium. But the other day, I mean, it was just dead. And I've watched a lot of West Ham fan reaction from that game against Fulham, and my best friend's a West Ham fan. They think they're gone. I was in the away end a couple of seasons ago when Pereira scored the brace, and queuing into the ground was just so Shane Long, and to get into the away end. And then I've covered, like I say, West Ham a lot, and I've been there when the atmosphere's been cracking, where they played the Europa League. Declan Rice scored that amazing solo goal, and I've been there when the Queen has passed, and it was somber. But the other day was really bad, and I think that's a reflection on what's going on the pitch. Obviously, they had the protest, Brady and Sullivan. I feel sorry for West Ham fans, I do, but I also sort of say, well, you had this coming. You treated Moyes like shit completely. He won you the Conference League, and you hounded him out. And West Ham fans will say, that's not what happened, blah, blah, blah. If you look at the form, he had to go, blah, blah, blah. The grass is not greener on the other side. And I think that they could be done. I think they might get relegated.
I finessed the London Stadium because I arrived 25 minutes late, and I tell you, the security was absolutely fine. Like, it was great. I waltzed through. Like, that's a fantastically efficient system if you arrive 25 minutes into the game. Like, I can't speak highly enough for the policy. I might try it again. There wasn't actually delays at Clapham Junction. I just decided to go for a coffee. I just thought, how do you make this away day better? Arrive 25 minutes late.
Yeah,
job done.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had one of our group who had an issue with their digital ticket, so only got in at half time. And when he came in, I was like, I'm so jealous of you. You've absolutely nailed today. I mean, we were debating whether we could go to Waggers instead of watching the game in Westfield to do a bit of Boxing Day shopping and the rest of it. It's really sad, though, as Jack was saying, watching West Ham, they're such a passionate fan base. It's not sort of the London United fans. They really care. They're active, and they passionately believe in their club. And I actually find it quite heartbreaking seeing what's happening to them. They're sort of like some kind of tranquilized tiger in a zoo, just waiting for the drifting into insignificance, waiting for the inevitable. It's actually really heartbreaking. I've never felt guilty for singing Say Hello to QPR before. And actually, I kind of had to stop singing it because I felt bad for them. And they're there singing We've Sold Our Soul for This lovely hole, and it's just this horrible situation where they're so far past gallows humor that they're just into just pure misery again on the other side. And it's such a shame. An opportunity that offered a move of ground that offered so much opportunity, and they're doing all the right things with cheap tickets and the rest of it all, but there's just nothing about that ground that suggests it's good to watch football in. So you can offer all the cheap tickets you want, but it's just not watching football. You might as well be watching it on TV. There's no live enjoyment. There's no shared experience. And I remember watching around to see if I could see West Ham fans singing. And you see them clapping in all these corners. I turn around to the Fulham fans in the top tier 800 miles away, and I see them moving their arms and waving, and you can't hear anything of it. So it's not for lack of want and lack of trying. It's just a ground that is not built for football, and it's ripping the heart out of a club who deserve more than that.
No, I fully agree with you, Piers. And I really do not mean to kick a fan base while they're down, because obviously they're going through a bit of a torrid time. But it's just, I mean, yeah, if I was a West Ham fan, I would be furious at the ownership for the situation that they found themselves in. And as I said, the fact that they had this beautiful ground, historic ground, amazing atmosphere. And just to echo what Sammy said, if that game was played out at Upton Park, then I think you're looking at a very different scoreline. We'll move on from part one. We've got lots of questions. So yeah, more to come. Part 2 of the Fulhamish podcast. I'm joined by Piers, JK and Sammy. Now we have got lots and lots and lots of questions about Kevin. So we'll just jump straight into that because it seems to be the discussion topic of choice within our questions. So Sammy, Josh King came for Kevin, played on the left wing. I thought he looked very good when he came on. Created chances, dynamic, he just looked lively. And a lot of people have started to question Kevin's performance yet again. Sort of the similar frustrations, getting himself into good positions, final ball, finishing poor. We've got Joe Payne 95. How much more was the add-on for Kevin's left foot? Greg says, will Kevin ever come good? I think the frustrations are starting to be felt here. Now, I am personally of the opinion, and we've said it, time and time again on Fulhamish, that he's getting used to a new league, a new country, a new team, and when he comes good, he will come very, very, very good. But are you starting to wonder whether we may never see that? Is it the curse of the Fulham's record signing striking again?
Well, we just need to make another record signing next year, and then Kevin will be good, because that's what's happened to Smith Rowe. As soon as he's not the record signing anymore, Smith Rowe's come good. Look, Kevin is obviously an enigma. I've been doing the player ratings randomly for the last couple of games, and so I've had to really have my say on Kevin, because that's what happens with the player ratings. You kind of have to really micro-analyse each performance, which is sometimes a bit harsh. And I've been fairly scathing of Kevin. I thought he was bad against Forest. The penalty aside, everyone says, he won the penalty. He gave the ball away just before he won the penalty. He said he beat two man. He beat the man, gave the ball away. He then won the penalty because Douglas Luiz was stupid, not because of some insane skill that he did. Look, and against West Ham, again, he was just so easy to play against. Fullbacks have just realised, just stand him up. Stand him up. He's going to try and go round you. And even if he does, because he's got quick feet, make sure the centre-back's there to cover the ball. It's just very easy. He's playing against some fairly average right-backs. I never forget Everton away played against James Garner, and James Garner was all over him. He played against Kyle Walker-Peters, who I don't think is a particularly great right-back, and Kyle Walker-Peters just found it a very easy task. Kevin's role needs to be off the bench this season. That's I think where it is. Obviously, Chukwueze is going to come back and we'll take back the left wing spot. But for now, I would like to see Josh King starting. I also think that Kevin is struggling to adapt to Anthony Robinson. You don't need Kevin and Anthony Robinson. We've got such a unique left back in Robinson who flies up and down the wing all day. He is your outlet. Actually, someone like Josh King who can just control the ball, go left, go right, feed Anthony Robinson perfectly, I actually think will make us much more effective on the left wing. Then, considering we have absolutely nothing off the bench, use Kevin that way. I think against a tired Kyle Walker-Peters, he'll be fine. He'll make some chances. He's looked good off the bench this season, but as a starter, he's not proving effective at all. That doesn't mean I'm ruling him off. That doesn't mean that I don't think Kevin will ever come good. I think he'll be great next season. He needs a pre-season. He needs to get to learn this league. He's raw for a reason. You don't sign someone that's been playing in the Ukrainian league for Shakhtar Donetsk in a different country and expect him to come in and act like he's Sammy Chukwueze, who's been playing Champions League football for years. I think we've just got unrealistic expectations, and the Leeds game, I think, gave us an expectation of what he could do that's way above his level. He still will be a good investment. It's not money down the drain. If he's good he's going to be here for 4 or 5 years, and that's when we'll recoup the money that we've paid for him. I just think that we're doing the same thing over and over again, expecting him to deliver from the start. We've got an option in Josh King. Use him, and then let Kevin be the answer off the bench for now.
I guess we saw a similar kind of trajectory with Muniz as well. This young player from Brazil, really divided opinion early on. People were thinking, who on earth will we sign? I know Muniz didn't have the price tag associated with Kevin, but it's the 4 or 5 years later down the line where we're really seeing the benefits. And perhaps, as you say, Sammy, we're going to see the same with Kevin. And yeah, I do agree. I think that the way he exploded into our lives against Leeds maybe sort of teed himself up for disappointment, because it was a very tough act to follow that cameo.
No, it's a great point that you make, George, in terms of Kevin. That cameo against Leeds, I mean, after the game, I went to the Golden Line and everyone was just like, this is it. We've just signed the next big thing, etc., etc. And I think that definitely raised the expectations of the Fulham fans. And obviously since then, he's not done much. Let's not lie. I take the same stance as Sammy, though. I'm sort of like, look at Smith Rowe. He had a good first season, not great. And now we're starting to see him fly a little bit. What Kevin needs is a goal, something to raise the confidence, even an assist. And it's totally capable. He can totally do that. But he just needs to get off the mark and then we might see him fly. Patience is needed with players like Kevin, you know, not obviously having to adapt to the Premier League. The Muniz comparison is completely like spot on. I mean, Muniz came into the Championship as well, which is arguably a harder league to play in terms of physicality, etc. And now look at Muniz, like he is basically our main striker who's obviously out injured. Kevin signed on a 5-year deal as well, so there's time, and I think he needs more time, as Marcus Silva's alluded to basically every time he's been asked about him. He just needs a goal. And yeah, sometimes he gives the ball away far too easily for me on the left-hand side. He just needs a bit of confidence. And it's amazing because that first 15 minutes that we saw against Leeds, you know, he won us the corner, we led to the goal. He was taking on everyone and just beating them for skill, for pace. And yeah, I think he will get better because I think Robinson on his outside is going to give him that easier option to play that pass to then combine with Smith Rowe or with King, whoever it's going to be. He just needs a goal. I mean, that's basically it. He just needs the confidence up.
Yeah, the goal will come. It will come. We've got a few other questions on Lukic. So Bob asks, why are we persisting with Lukic and Sander in the middle? Piers, we were chatting before we hit record, and you mentioned that you weren't particularly impressed with our Serbian midfielder. What are your thoughts on this? I mean, obviously, the obvious answer is that, you know, the Sander Lukic pivot is out of necessity, what with AFCON going on. But have you got any other takes on this? Any other alternatives, perhaps?
Yeah, well, Jack's really spot on before. There's definitely some recency bias and some different slightly hazy viewpoints on the Sanderberger and Lukic midfield partnership that was so pivotal for us last season. But Lukic, and I caveat this with that I'm a massive fan of Lukic. I think he's been really great since the Chelsea away game in his first season where he was absolutely terrible. But since then, he's been phenomenal. He's been putting shifts in, working really hard. But against West Ham, I thought he was really poor. And I don't like going in on players, but if it's not justified. But for our number 8, who's meant to bring you a little bit of everything, there's the chance that Sammy talked about before, where for Jared Bowen, where Lukic actually hasn't tracked Bowen back for that. He's meant to be in partly for his work rate and his defensive abilities over TC. And in that moment, he just did a great impression of TC, of not following Bowen, who then has a chance that he should score. He's had that header from Robinson, whose crossing was sensational, has whipped in a perfect ball. You hear the Titanic music starting to play as Lukic jumps up like prime Ronaldo and then nearly heads out for a throw in. It was that bad. So he should score that. He's then a goal that we should have conceded from him not tracking back. There was another chance right towards the end, still at 0-0, where Robinson's flying down the wing. He just has to play it in his stride. He plays it behind his stride. Robinson loses his momentum, doesn't get the ball in that he wants to do. They clear easily. There's potentially another goal missed there when we had numbers in the box. And then Scarles has had a really great headed opportunity in the first half. And on that one, Lukic hasn't tracked Somerville, who's then got him behind and got the ball in. So that's potentially 2 goals conceded and 2 goals not scored due to mistakes there. So for me, Lukic is a really great player, but West Ham was not his best. So yeah, it was a bit more live, laugh, liability Lukic for that game.
Yeah, it wasn't his finest, perhaps, but I just don't know what the alternative is, really. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people have been saying Josh King, you know, in the middle, but I question whether he's got the physical stance to be able to pull that off. But we did see Josh King in a different role against West Ham. As I said earlier, played on the left wing. Maxmel17 asks, is King on the wing potentially a long-term option as well as his attacking midfielder role? He looked very sharp on the left yesterday. Any thoughts on this, JK?
What's interesting about King on the wing is that he's not the fastest player in the world. He's not the strongest player in the world, but he is nippy. And there's been like examples earlier this season. I can't remember the game. I remember it was at home. I think it might have been against Doesn't matter. I think it was against City or Arsenal, I can't remember. He nipped past a couple of players, beat them down that, what was he, on the right-hand side that time. And he's got low centre of gravity. He's very good at dribbling, very good at sort of dropping the shoulder and running past. I think he is more suited to the middle, the number 10. But like you say, the cameo he had on the left-hand side against West Ham was fantastic. He created a chance for himself as well, which was deflected behind for a corner. I think you lose a yard of pace in terms of what Kevin can bring, and then obviously, but what's really good about Fulham's left-hand side is no matter who's playing there, you're always going to have Robinson, or if you have Robinson playing, you're always going to have that option out on the left-hand side. So it doesn't matter how fast you can progress the ball, you'll have someone faster on your left-hand side on the overlap where you can play that ball, and that's always going to be a threat because Robinson always gets forward. Doesn't matter whether it's Iwobi, whether it's Kevin, whether it's King on the left-hand side. There is an up and down nature to playing left wing. You got to get back. You got to help out in the defence. Being a number 10, you sort of have to have that defensive responsibility as well, but not so much if you're playing in the. I think if we saw Josh playing the 8 for the first team, I think that would be a really interesting test as to how he can deal with that at this level. I think it'd actually be quite useful to use him in that game against Middlesbrough in the FA Cup, playing against slightly lesser opposition, but would be a really good challenge for him to see how he could deal with that number 8 position. Then you can play Smith Rowe in the 10, have the two together. But then also, if he does play out on the left-hand side in the future, as Sammy alludes to, maybe have Kevin off the bench, then you do have Smith Rowe and King on the pitch at the same time. I asked Silva this a couple of weeks ago about this scenario, and he basically said, we'll never finish the game with Smith Rowe out on the left. So obviously that points to obviously Josh King being the option on the left-hand side if the two were to be on the pitch at the same time. If he's playing in a wide area, if not, Josh could play in the 8, Smith Rowe in the 10. I think there's two, and that's the thing. Like if you add this versatility to Josh King's game, where he can play in not only the 8, the 6, and the 10, because that's what he's been playing his whole career, hence his 24. Then you add the left-hand side to him. I mean, another string to his bow. We mentioned this post Newcastle pod about Josh King's versatility. If he's to add the left-hand side to his game in terms of can play there for 90 minutes or can play there for 70 minutes, just adds more value to his transfer fee.
Jack, does that make him number 35 if he starts playing on the left wing? Because as you said, 6, 8, 10 makes him 24, but if he adds 11...
Well, yeah. He'd have to change numbers, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
But I mean,
maybe he can start collecting all the positions. If he plays number 9,
he'll be 99 by
44. If he could add the right wing to his
false
game,
9. He has played false 9 as well against Bournemouth.
If he adds the right wing, that makes him 51. Like he could just start collecting positions.
We get it. You can count, okay?
No, just to round off the point, I think that genuinely, like, the fact of the matter is he's 18. He's played in 3 different positions in his career. If he adds a 4th to that and then starts bringing that to first team football, I mean, this kid's, I said it post Newcastle, he's going to be playing for England before the next Euros, in my opinion.
Big cool.
In whatever position he plays, could be in goal.
I mean, last
52.
Fulham, I asked this question on Fulhamish a few months ago. Last Fulham player to get an England cap.
Bobby Zamora?
Bobby Zamora.
Ding, ding, ding. Jack Kelly, 10 points to Gryffindor. Well done.
I was going to say, I couldn't get Zat Knight out of my head, which is still the weirdest England cap of all time.
Yeah, I mean, Bobby Zamora, I argue he probably should have got more than one England cap, but he got a substitute appearance in the World Cup qualifier, I think. Maybe it might have even been a friendly. But yeah, Bobby Zamora. So that would have been, 2010, 2011?
Yeah.
Terrible. Right, so just quickly, before we conclude, JK, any word on the Marco contract situation? Earlier, you kind of hinted that you're very confident that it will get over the line. What's that based on? Come on, the fan base, our listeners are dying to know. Have you heard any whisperings, any chance meetings with him in the car park?
Funnily enough, I actually did see Marco Silva in the car park on Boxing Day. We both arrived at the training ground at the same time. We exchanged pleasantries and before the press conference. Well, I'll say this: I think it's just a matter of time. I think I don't know, it wouldn't surprise me if we've hit 2026 in a few days' time and we already know the outcome. So I'm I'm very, very, very confident at this moment in time.
Wow.
Good to know. Wow. Okay, cool. That'd be a wonderful way to see out the year. So we've obviously got the trip to Southeast London to face Palace on New Year's Day. Sammy, I know this fixture fills you with all manner of anxiety, fury, dread. Beth Douglas asks, Palace were terrible yesterday. Tell me we have a chance. What are your thoughts? How do you feel going into this one?
Yeah, we'll have a look, as they say. I do think that we've got a chance. I think the biggest chance that we have is because this game's being played in 2026 and not 2025. 2025 was the annus horribilis for playing Crystal Palace, obviously. 3 horrific defeats. But yeah, I watched the game against Spurs. I must admit, the second half was so dull. There was just nothing to it. And I think that is a testament to how Palace are. There was a guy on 5 Live yesterday on 606, and he said Glasner is the best manager in the world when you don't have the ball. But when you do have the ball, as they had to yesterday because they were trying to break down Spurs, he said if they have 65% possession, he said, we have absolutely nothing. He doesn't know what to do. And then he went on to say that's why he shouldn't take the United job. Yada, yada. I don't care. I think we have to try and take that. I think if Fulham can get an early goal, Spurs didn't get an early goal, but they took the lead. I think then Fulham are in a fantastic position. Let Palace play and let them play themselves into trouble and pick them off. I think it is as simple as that when you play Crystal Palace. Concede first, world of trouble. Score first, it's going to be a fun day. And that's the mistake we've made 3 games in a row, is let Palace get the first goal. You know, they're missing Ismail Assar. I thought Justin Devaney was horrific yesterday. Like, genuinely, like, terrible. Mateta is just not looking like the same striker. It's going to be really interesting to see how Anderson copes with him, because he's not coped with him in the last few games that he's played against him. It's not a bad time to be playing them. They also are knackered. Their team is like 50. I saw someone on Twitter say that their team is 50% title chasing and 50% championship.
Yeah.
It's the most true thing ever. You're like, 50% of that team is outrageously good, and 50% of that team, you're like, huh? Like, I'm hopeful. Definitely hopeful. I think also we've got to have some motivation to beat that lot. Surely to God.
The Palace situation is really interesting. We played them just over 3 weeks ago. And if someone had told us the next time you play them, which by the way is on the first day of 2026, you'll be level on points with them, I'd have been like, wow, what? That doesn't seem right. No Munoz, no Richards. It's looking like Richards probably won't be a part. So Lerma's going to have to play at centre back. And we went to Sellers Park last season where they were playing, I think that was Devaney's first game. They were without Mark Gehi. They didn't have Eze. They were playing a lot of, they were missing a lot of players, and we won the game 2-0 and scored 4 on the day, really, with 2 offside goals as well. Will Hughes, no Kamada. So obviously Lerma drops to centre back with Gehi and Lacroix. Klein at right back, Henderson in goal, Mitchell. Wharton, obviously, fantastic player with Hughes. And there'll be like Pino, Devaney. God, I'm running out of players there. Anyway, Mateta up top, or Nketiah, I don't know. But they're on a real spiral at the moment where the fan base is furious. They didn't qualify for the next round. They have to go through the playoffs of the Conference League. And their league form has dropped off. Glasner's kicking up a stink because he's completely upset with summer recruitment, and he still talks about it. To be fair, Silva does as well, but he's still drilling that point across January on the horizon. And what was the other thing that's really bad? Oh yeah, he's just not going to... Glasner won't stay. The fact of the matter is, we had a situation at the beginning of the season where it was like, Silva's out of contract, Glasner's out of contract. I think Glasner's going to stay and I think Silva's going to go. Now it's completely flipped. I think Glasner goes. Palace are in a real troublesome period at the moment. The fans are not happy. The manager's not happy. The owner's under pressure because this is a massive January for both Fulham and Palace. And obviously they're missing Sarr. They're missing Kamada. I mentioned all this to say Fulham have a really good chance to go here and win. So let's hope we can keep this run going. If we win against Palace, leapfrog them, go to 29 points, I'll be doing somersaults all down Thornton Heath. I mean, honestly, it'd be fantastic. It'll be fantastic. We need to beat Palace as well because, like you say, they knocked us out of the FA Cup. They beat us in the last minute the other day, a few weeks ago. Brother supports Palace, cousin supports Palace. They're all doing my head in. They're all head in Dzeko. They're doing my head in. So we've got to beat them. I think we might.
Yeah. What a sight for sore eyes that would be. If the Fulham boys need any motivation is to get 3 points at Selhurst Park. Freddie, we need to get you filming that because that would make some excellent social media content. Jack Kelly doing something.
I can't even do a cartwhile.
I mean, you can try. You can try.
Jack Kelly doing roly-polies behind the Holmesdale.
We've got it on record. If we do get 3 points, is happening. Lovely note to end on. Piers, have you got a favourite 3-word review?
So, yeah, I think the best one clearly is Emery Jiménez. So let's go for that one from Jay Proctor. Well done to you. Very
nice indeed. And yeah, I just wanted to say, everyone who's listened to Fulhamish throughout the year, it's been a roller coaster for 2025. And we just wanted to say thank you so much for your ongoing support, whether that be by listening to the pod, watching us on YouTube, subscribing to our Substack, getting involved on the Telegram. It really does mean the world to us. Coming to our live shows. So yeah, a massive thank you from us. Hope everybody has a wonderful New Year's. Celebrate, pop a bottle, hopefully to another 3 points incoming on New Year's Day. So thank you so much. We'll be back in 2026. Come on, you Whites.